Hey, I'm Greg Lee with Paisty Jenny. How you doing there, Ray?
I'm Stan Liberty, lead guitar player for Paisty Jenny out of Lincoln, Nebraska.
What are you doing here in Rockford, Illinois? You're on tour right now around the country.
Well, we released a new record a little while back and hit number 80 nationally, and at least the first single off it hit number 80 nationally, and so let's spark the little stuff, and we hooked up with some people industry-wise that are doing some good things for us. And it's the first time we've ever been out this direction.
Nice. Second time.
Second time 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks
Yes.
ago. And so we're trying to build this market, basically, and we got a big market back home, and it's going great there for us. But obviously, it's just time to expand, and so the Bobo Flex folks said, let's come on out and do some shows with us, and it all came together, and here we are.
Are you independent, signed?
Independent.
Independent, yeah. Label.
We're on Direct Hit Records.
Direct Hit Records. It's our label. Yeah.
Very cool.
It's a label I've actually had since, I don't want to say, long time.
Long time. We're self-financed. Everything we do, we've put out our own, everything, all our albums, our videos. We have videos, professionally made, live videos. Everything is personally financed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So how many albums do you have out now?
4.
4 albums. And you've been together how long?
Band's been around for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
All right.
It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's been, truthfully, I had started the band 10 years ago, and there's been some different versions and people in and out and stuff.
This lineup's been together almost 3 years.
Yeah.
This lineup.
Yeah, this lineup's killer.
And it is a family.
It's good. This has been.
And this seems to be the lineup that's taking you to the next level.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
most definitely.
Exactly.
Dramatic.
That's good.
Dramatic.
Yeah. Stan and I know each other from way back, and did a lot of business back in the days, and did a bunch of
Recordings.
demos on some of my
Demos.
first stuff, and we've known each other a long time. And it's kind of a weird thing. How many years ago was it? Ran into you.
Almost 20 something. I've known Greg and I have known each other for over probably 20 something years.
Yeah. But I hadn't seen you for freaking ever.
Ever.
And 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
I ran into you at a show in downtown Lincoln, so I've been going on some
a blues
street deal.
festival.
Blues festival. We're getting hammered, and I'm like, you never know. I need your info, because you never know.
I gave him my phone number again, and 4 months later I got a message that said, "Would you like to be in a band?" And I didn't recognize the number, and I called it back, and when he said Greg Lee, and I know. Things that are different now, before, in the 80s and early 90s, bands were playing
First beer of the night.
Yeah. Been a long day here in Rockford. Bands used to play and tour in civic arenas a lot, and they'd bring one band with them as an opener. And now that, because of the internet and the way people can access music, it's so widely public out there, whether you're putting it out there or somebody else is pirating it for you. Yeah. Bands now have to rely on touring with multiple bands.
Yeah.
And it's not really civic arenas; it's more club type venues.
That's crazy. You just can't put a major one act in a venue.
There's no more world tours anymore.
No such thing, really.
Or 15 major cities.
You got to have 6-8 bands on a bill to draw people in anymore.
Right.
I mean, that's
it's either Bon Jovi or Metallica that sells out.
The world, the music industry, everything is so. Everybody, come on, everything's in snippets. Everything's in snippets. My kids can't freaking watch anything for more than 60 seconds, and they turn their attention. It's the same thing with music. It's the exact same thing. It's just little sound bites.
Right.
But bands link up together now in groups, and we've played with bands there's Bobo Flex, Wayland, Redline Chemistry are friends of ours, My Darkest Days, and we go on tours and shows where there's 5-6 bands to bring in, multiple types of people. So
now, is that in theaters or festivals or clubs or all
theaters,
of this?
festivals, and clubs.
Right.
A combination of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
We went to a festival. We had some time off, and our friends were playing in Kansas City at the largest one-day outdoor show in the country, and I don't know, there was like 20 bands in one day. So
wow.
Things are a little bit different now.
Yeah, it's just different. It's just the way it is. You gotta.
Do you think people are less interested in live music these days, or is it that they're not hearing not being promoted to properly about those bands coming to their towns?
That depends on the venue. I mean, really, it really does fall in the venue's hands. It's kind of crazy how the industry's changed in that it used to be that when you're hired by a venue, the venue takes on the responsibility of getting the advert out there and making sure there's people in that bar or in that club or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Or the promoter does that. That's their job. Well, no longer is that the case. They think it's the band's job to make sure you're. And I'm sorry, we're doing freaking 100 shows a year, and I can't put out a Facebook event for every freaking show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're touring, and guess what? The venue has to pull some responsibility.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's part of it. That's changed. And
What about at the local level on that same note? That I keep going back to this. I'm a big 80s fan.
Me too.
Back,
that's where we were raised.
That's our roots.
back in the day, people
sure.
they'd flyer and they would handshake and they'd say, "Please come see my show."
You bet.
I think
You know,
one thing.
and that created a scene, but
Sure.
you don't see that anymore.
I think
at a
one
local
thing
level.
is genres go in cycles, waves. And back in the 80s, it was all about guitar solos, or something.
Screaming high vocals.
Screaming high volume. Fire! Exactly. And now things are nobody even cares about now if you can play Eruption or something like that. It's all about more song oriented. One thing, the rap genre,
Music's rhythmically now.
rhythmic, type of thing.
Even Pantera was
Yeah.
groove.
Yeah, I think the rap situation has really hurt music, and I will say, because I don't want death threats, but it seems to me the rap genre has infiltrated people that really know nothing about music and are doing music. I don't even know what it is. There's no guitars, there's no bass, it's just
Well, there's a certain amount of talent there, and I'm not gonna smack on that.
Right, we don't want to
more
smack
But
on
again,
it.
it's
production
rhythmic.
talent
It's
than
rhythmic.
instrument.
I'm
Right,
sorry,
more
how many
production than
how many
live
producers
talent.
do you need to make Beyonce sound good?
Right.
You know?
20 evidently.
Right.
Apparently so.
Right, so so things are different that way. So, I'm not gonna say rocket's a dying breed. We're just gotta,
I just like raw roots rock, just in your face.
Right.
yeah. There's nothing like a sound of a full stack Marshall, and somebody drumming and a singer wailing some vocals. I mean, that's what I love. I'm
Right.
sure you guys did too.
I don't know if you know this, but Lady Gaga, she's huge,
Right?
Very produced.
Yes.
Me personally, I think she writes a lot of her own
Yes,
stuff.
she does.
She plays piano, so she
Right.
is very musical.
Yep.
But I found it interesting to find out that she was like a huge Iron Maiden fan.
Nah.
I never got her until I understood that she was highly influenced by glam rock, David Bowie, all the way up to
Sure.
Poison and all that.
Sure.
That's cool.
So that was really cool
I
to
never
find
knew
out.
that either, but that's bad.
But if you a lot of those other genres, outside of the rock metal scene, a lot of the other genres, hip hop for instance, they do a lot of rock samples, and they do a lot of nods to the rock and metal genre in
Right.
a lot of different ways.
When Tone Loc did
Because
that,
guess
wow,
what?
wow,
Yeah.
Because
Jamie's
that's
crying.
the hook.
Right?
Because that stuff has a hook.
But do you see that as them using rock and metal, or do you see that as an ode to rock and metal?
I don't know. Guess I'm not
Thought
quite
about-
sure how to look at it.
Yeah. Probably a little of both.
Sometimes I'm
Little
sometimes I'm
Depends
a
on the
little,
artist.
Sure.
Sometimes I'm a little offended by it.
Right?
You know?
I'm sure there's
Like,
some
do your
metal
own thing,
guys that add some in,
Right.
We play with My Darkest Days a lot, Porn Star Dancing.
Right.
And they've got a lot
They
of
got
that.
a little bit of
Yeah, a little bit different. I mean, we've
Right.
played with them a lot, and they're not really a hard rock band, but they've got some of that vibe there mixed with some other,
right.
some things like that.
Yeah.
So,
Very
yeah, music now seems to be like Breaking Benjamin. We're familiar with that music. There seems to be some infiltration of a lot of things to make sounds now.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of genres kind of being mixed.
Well,
think that's what I mean.
It's a big
back
melting
with,
pot.
starting back
Right.
with
Melting
Run
pot.
DMC
And that's all right.
Aerosmith.
I mean, that's the way things evolve.
Right.
That's the way
Genres
that's the way
mixed
things are.
together.
Right.
It's okay.
Is that good or bad?
No, I mean it's natural.
Or both?
It's natural.
Both. We'll roll the both.
You know,
on
it's
that.
natural. And guess what? The population is increasing. We have more people in our world than ever before. We have cities are growing. Everything. You know, more and more and more and more and more. You know, back in the day. No offense to any of the founders of the rock and roll industry, but you know, the Beatles, the Stones, all that back in the day. You know, back then, all you had to do was be in the game.
Right. Yeah, long hair and you got a record deal.
Right.
And not to say there isn't talent there, there's amazing talent there. But now there are so many people trying to climb that ladder.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's either stepping on or stepping with each other.
Right.
You know, and you know, it's just there's just an amalgamation.
Jumping on
And-
bandwagons, jumping
and you-
off.
You can't,
Right.
you know, that's just the way it is. You can't do anything about it. It's just the way it is.
And it's, you know, back in the 80s, you know, all you had to do was have long hair and just be cranking music and with some, you know, fire and some guitar solos and you got signed. Now, it's not formula rock anymore. It's a little different.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, if a band's, granted it's hard to get a record deal, or even without, I mean, this is a completely different subject, but with the record deal, but
Yeah.
it's hard to get recognition these days
Yeah.
as an artist because of all the artists.
The saturation.
It's harder to stand out, but those that do stand out will at some point, won't they? Like you were saying, it like in the 80s,
I think
everybody
so.
could get a record deal, but
Yeah.
Rat stood apart from everyone else. So is it about? I mean, it's not always just about talent. I mean, talent has to be there.
Sure.
It's not always just about talent, but presentation of the band as well, musically or image
Yep.
or otherwise.
Sure,
You know, so what can bands do that hasn't been done yet to make themselves stand
Well,
out?
I don't know. It's kind of funny because you know everybody.
Light themselves on fire.
Yeah, you know the whole.
Nikki Sixx done that.
The whole theater,
Right.
the whole theater
Spit
element.
blood.
Exactly, the whole theater element, Kiss, and you know the bands that have done that in the past, and
Alice
you
Cooper.
know, I guess you know,
Marilyn Manson.
yeah.
It's hard to say.
When-
If we
when
knew
bands-
the answer to that question, we'd be doing it.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, okay, great. Bands rise to a level there, they get recognized because they do something different or extraordinary or way out there or whatever. But I think, as far as we go, as far as our band goes, it's just, we've never tried to necessarily be like anybody else.
Right.
Our material, we're a little different in that we are not we're not this heavy metal boom, 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 or, freaking in your face. We still draw on some of that 80s stuff, and
Yep.
I sort of hate to admit that, but there's good stuff there. I'm trying to relate to a younger audience, but we still draw on that, and there's more of an openness to us. And the thing about it is we never write from a perspective of let's sound like this.
Right.
Or let's sound like that. We just write, and for some reason it just comes out, being different. It's us.
Right.
We put it together, we see what it sounds like, we manipulate it a little bit, do a little, put some icing on the cake, and then, at the very end result, we want to put out a good product that we feel proud of and that we want people to like.
Right.
It's not necessarily we're trying to do something like somebody else or sound like Nickelback. We never do that. So what you're getting is an actual result of our collaboration as a band, and that's important to us. We all have influences, anybody does. So, and everybody's different, but that's what a band is. It's not a solo project, it's a band.